morning, everyone. I think we're getting fired up here. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Lincoln Government Day, May 3rd, 2024. Happy spring. Andy Hunthausen here, I'll be chairing. To my left, Commissioner Tom Rolfe. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Christian Leonard, he is the man of weeds. Our lead coordinator. Noxious weeds. Yes. We have to remember that. Roger Balt, our Chief Administrative Officer. Jessica Makis. What is your title? She is all things RIDs and special districts, right? Yeah. Jenny Chambers, Director of our Public Works. Good morning, both of you. To my right, Ken Spain.
Good morning.
Jay Plant from our Environmental Health Department. He is the sanitarian. He's sharing some wisdom with us today, I'm sure. And Captain Wright from the Sheriff's Office. Good morning, Captain Wright. We'll introduce others as we go along here, but we will actually start with Captain Wright. You get to lead us off.
First off, I'm excited. Good morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm trying practicing. You know, well, it was a good catch for both of us because I'm sitting
Get
on
on
my fault.
stage, Kevin.
We have a podium over here now. All of our meetings have to be recorded and videoed and all that, so we're trying to get everyone who's going to speak from the podium.
Get them trained up.
And that's my fault.
Tell them to
Yeah,
shine
right.
down
I'm
below.
sorry, thank you, Mr. Ball.
Apologize for the reflection there.
Good
A
morning.
stocking cap, I guess. Morning. So the report from the Sheriff's Office is we have 2 open positions for deputy that we'll be posting that here shortly and getting those filled. They're not new positions, we're just filling 2 open positions that we already have or are going to have here shortly. This week we had the VAWA grant, which the commissioners approved for us to apply for again. It's an ongoing grant that we do. VAWA stands for the Violence Against Women's Advocacy, and I probably messed that up. I probably mixed up one of those. But it is a detective position that solely investigates domestic violence. And it's a very important position, so thank you, commissioners, for approving that application. Report from the Missouri River Drug Task Force. They're busy. There's lots of different drugs that are filtering into all communities in Lewis and Clark County, and they are very busy combating that. As for rodeos are kind of our big events that happen in the summer. I'm not sure if everybody's aware. We have rodeos in Montana, and we need to have staff those with some help from law enforcement to help make sure everybody has a good time at those.
You know about rodeos in Lincoln.
I think they
This is
do.
the primary rodeo of the world, right?
Yes. Every year we assign a supervisor to each rodeo to make sure that all the coordination with the community members and everything like that, so it goes smoothly. For the Augusta rodeo, Sergeant Matt Rygard is assigned to their rodeo. And as for Lincoln, it is Corporal Neil Marks. So that's gonna be your guy. You can have Neil all you want. And for the Stampede, another big rodeo for us is Corporal Tony Gallahan, and he's going to be helped out by Sergeant Greg Holman for that. They've changed up a lot for the Stampede. Sounds like they added a bunch of concerts and things like that. So we have 2 supervisors in charge that are going to have a lot more people, just a lot more staff at those. We like to be kind of prepared that we have everybody staffed to that. Again, our main goal of every rodeo or any event in Lewis and Clark County is that everybody gets to have a good time and enjoy that event. So that's our main goal at those, and it's a safe event, and we want people to come back and enjoy the time there. So that is the end of my report for the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Captain. Any questions for Captain Wright, Commissioners?
No.
How about public comment? Any questions for the Sheriff's Office?
Are
Yes,
we
sir.
gonna get a sheriff?
We have to go up there.
Or just say your name at least from there.
Todd Hagan, are we gonna get a sheriff up here to stay?
Yes. Yeah, that position, I know it's temporarily filled right now, but we did hire for that. That individual is at the academy at this time. When he is trained up and ready, we'll swap out, and the full-time deputy, who I'm almost certain is Chance Hill, will be assigned. He was a detention officer with us. He has a lot of experience. I've talked to him several times. He's a good egg. I really think he's going to be a very good fit for this position in this community. He's a ranching, backwoods kind of fella. So not to say you have to be that to fit in, but he will do a very good job. So
One of the problems we've had with our law enforcement people is finding places for them to live. Is that gonna be a problem in Lincoln, or is that under control, or should I mean, if we put the word out that if they have a decent place for him to live, it'll be easier to keep law enforcement here.
I'm unaware if he's located a residence up here or not. I don't know that answer.
Well, maybe the community council could talk to people who might have rentals, and I know you can rent things out at an ungodly price now, but if we wanna have law enforcement people living in this community, they need a decent place to live.
Put a bed in the sheriff's office center.
What's that?
Talk to me after, Kevin.
Okay.
The sheriff's office, but
Jeez, made a joke about
we're supposed to pay for it ourselves.
the place out there.
Yeah, hot in the cot.
I don't know, those cots aren't too comfy and they're pretty old.
And that's why we can't keep people here.
Thank you, Captain Wright. Really appreciate you being here today. And if anything else comes up, we'll holler at you here. Thanks for being here. Next on the agenda is the community council. And against our better judgment, yesterday, Zach,
Yes.
yeah, you've been re-upped for another round. No, I'm just kidding. We're so grateful for your work up here and your willingness to volunteer. Very glad that you've done that. We'll get to that. I think he's probably going to maybe talk about it too. So anyway, go ahead. We'll take the community council report and then we'll add in some things.
So before I go on to community council, I talked to Justin Braun, the captain for MHP, now major. He got promoted, so he won't be coming up that often unless he can't get someone else to, and they haven't filled those positions. So once a couple of people go, then everything filters and it takes a while. But he did say that by the end of the year, they should be fully staffed in Helena detachment. And then they will fly the job for up here, but at minimum, they will have a rotation for Lincoln until they get it filled. So hopefully first of the year, when, we'll get close to the deputy as well, and then hopefully a trooper being up here more often as well. So
Good.
looking better for the
So if anybody's gonna break the law, they should do it before the first of the year,
Sure.
when there's nobody watching.
Makes sense.
Really not a lot going on other than growth policy, public works, I'll let Jenny handle that. And I did check on the frost heaves. Kevin had sent an email, never got an answer back, and so I called Jimmy up and he said that no, they're not addressing the frost heaves.
Oh, really?
They'll redo the highway and then in the spring they'll have to fix it all again because of the frost heaves, is what it is. The community development, previously Envision Lincoln, is sending out invitations and scheduled meetings for organizations in town because they did get a grant to hire somebody to go to places to talk to people. And I believe May 14th and 16th, there are gonna be 2 meetings in town with, I think the 14th is supposed to be the nonprofit, community organizations, things like that, and then the 16th, I believe, is gonna be businesses.
Of May?
Of May. have an email. I know that, just so you know that she put it all in there, so you do have one. Really, that's about it. Putt-putt tomorrow, so it'll be chaos. Hopefully somebody's scheduled for a little extra reserve action coming up here.
It's good, so.
Excuse me, what's what?
This is a fundraiser for the town, a drunken miniature golf through town.
I heard they had 97 teams.
Yeah, it's 97 teams and then,
Four per team, so that's.
and then 800 other drunks that are with them cheering on and drinking. It's a good time.
Where do you get all these people?
Helen or everywhere.
Helena, they come here.
Campground's about half full.
So yeah, Kevin, if you look into that, with Jeremiah being gone off and on and all that stuff, I don't think it got brought up.
I will let Deputy Taylor know, he's working up north, so
Okay,
I'll advise him.
sounds good.
Do
That's
you have a time frame for that?
Starts at noon.
about an hour from now. Sunday morning about 4 a.m. But tomorrow, it starts at noon, but
Noon tomorrow.
the highway's packed. Like, it's dangerous.
It'll start at 10.
I had to get Ross up here quick last year because, no, that was the ATV run. But they're all out on the highway and everything, it's just dangerous, so just protect people from themselves. Other than that, I mean, it's a great event, we don't have really any problems or anything, it's just that safety side of it is the biggest issue we have.
Falling over, that's all.
Zach, thank you. I wanted to go back to something you said. You talked about the frost heaves. Just in case somebody doesn't know where those are, there's a project from 200 up Flesher, top of Flesher, and they're going to be resurfacing that. But they're those big frost heaves, and Zach was wondering if they were going to actually dig those out and fix them. And it sounds like they're only going to be doing surface preservation, right?
Correct. Yeah, they're not gonna do anything with them, so,
That's an MDT project.
yes.
Don't they work as speed bumps?
Yeah, if you have a trailer and all of a sudden it appears and you don't know about it, because we have one that, a guy in town lost his trailer out by DOT, flipped it over, it was one of them little four-wheeler haulers. I think it just had junk on it, fortunately. There's a big one out here by 4x4, gravel pit, that appeared, these two appeared the last couple of years. Big one up on, about a half a mile down from the top of Rogers Pass that they've jimmy rigged for many years. And then there's two bad ones on Flesher, about a quarter mile from the top on this side, that's pretty wicked. And then another quarter mile below that, there's one right in the corner there, and they're bad.
Are they marked by the Department of Transportation as caution?
As they see fit.
Well, maybe this is something we could,
And we have
Yell at
many, many times
yeah, I'm sure you
for
could.
the last 15 years on some of these. Yeah, and I understand some of it because they have to plow the roads. And when they're plowing the passes, there's a lot of snow, and they put up a little sign on the side because they're seasonal. And
Do they go away in the summer?
yes, they're winter seasonal, so
Okay,
it's just when it gets cold.
so it's not a problem.
And they just need to eventually do the work to fix that. That's what I got.
You don't have to fix the roof, right? It's like a leaky roof. My roof is as good as any, man. Well, when it's too dry, no, I can't fix it when it's raining, because I can't go up there. And then when it quits raining, my roof is as good as any, man. So, I can.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Spot on.
So, Zach, I give you a hard time earlier, but I really want to thank you. And you've been approved for another term on the community council. We so appreciate that. And we also took some other action. Commissioner Payne, you were really excited about talking about this. So are you going to tell them about the other appointment yesterday for the community council? That's what you were originally talking about, right?
Actually, when I came up, that was another lady who called me and was complaining about some of the activities. But we also have a new appointee to the Blackfoot Valley Community Council, and her name is,
Wojciechowski.
thank you, Mark, what was her first name?
Cynthia.
And you can say her name correctly.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's a retired deputy out of Great Falls.
Yeah.
But she's the one.
Yeah.
And she came to our meeting yesterday.
Oh, did she?
She drove all the way into town and, I mean, it was a big deal. I was very impressed.
Kevin, didn't you put yours in?
I don't know.
I thought you said you texted me and said you dropped it off that day.
Oh, I turned my application.
Yeah, so there's another one that someone got.
Well, we will,
We can redo it if we have to, no big deal.
we'll follow up on that. Yeah.
What's your name?
didn't know that.
Kevin Grant here,
Okay.
G-R-A-M.
But she was the only other appointment other than you.
G-R-A-N.
T-I-E-R.
Okay.
We'll follow up. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I'm going to be alone in the office next week. These guys are going to a conference, so.
Get things done.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they can come back and fix it.
But thank you very much. Any questions for the community council from anyone? Questions for community council? Thank you, Zach, really appreciate it. All right, we will move on to Mr. Yarbrough. Welcome, good to see you. We just saw you not too long ago.
Hasn't been that long yet. So I don't have much more to report than I did a few weeks ago. By the end of this month, we should have most of our crews on, the fire crews and the trail crews. Our trail program manager has been poking into the backcountry a little bit, and there's a lot less blowdown this year than before, and quite a bit less snow than in previous years too. We're still moving forward on the Forest White RXEA, which is a prescription fire environmental analysis, and we've picked a spot up here in Lincoln to start that. Our spot is Beaver, we'll call it Beaver Park. It's this country right over here on the face below Stonewall. So we'll see how that plays out. The fuels break CE is still moving forward. That was Dalton Stemple. We've been working on that for a while, but we got held up in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service because we had to do grizzly bear biological opinion from those folks. And so we're waiting for those to come back. CE is a categorical exclusion. So it's for fuels mitigation work along those linear routes out there to slow down wildfires. Let's see, the Copper Creek Road, the contract has been out on the street 4/8 of this year, and will close 5/23 of this year, and we've had 0 bidders so far.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that's all I have, I think, for now.
Hopefully that'll rectify itself.
Yeah.
That's the hope. All right, questions for the Forest Service? Any questions for the Forest Service? Commissioners, any questions? Really appreciate you being here, and thanks again for the visit from you and others last, was that 2 weeks ago, last week? I don't know.
something
A
like
few days ago, I don't know,
that.
but it was great, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Chambers, Public Works Director. I don't have a ton today, but I brought some guests so they can kind of fill in some of the time on some other updates. One is just changing the year in the transition, and we're starting to grade several of the roads up here. I know they finished Dalton Road last week, and then he's working a lot on Stemple. Our position is still vacant. District Equipment Operator up here in Lincoln is still vacant. It's posted, open until filled. Again, if you know anybody, some of the new CDL requirements that are out there, the ones that I think folks are having some trouble getting in, plus just the location in general, I think is having a little bit of concerns. But we got good coverage. Travis, our Senior Equipment Operator from Helena, is coming up and filling that role, and we're kind of just trying to backfill in Helena on the Helena Valley side. In May this month, actually this week, our Wolf Creek District Equipment Operator is also retiring, so that position's posted. So again, we're gonna have to backfill from Helena for Wolf Creek and Craig area, but that one is a little bit easier, we think, to recruit. We've got some interest from some of our Helena equipment operators because of the radius from how many miles they have to live in proximity to those areas a little bit closer. So we think we're gonna maybe be able to fill with a Helena equipment operator for Wolf Creek, and then backfill for that position in Helena, and then just keep the one here in Lincoln open until filled. So hopefully we'll get fully staffed here pretty soon. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the county will be partnering with the Department of Environmental Quality on a memorandum of agreement to assist with applying applying for a grant through the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation, or Resource Development Grant, to support their efforts at the reclamation of the Upper Blackfoot Mining Complex, to relocate a line off of a county road. It's a primitive road that we're not gonna maintain so it's gonna go off from Mike Horse Road onto Meadow Creek Road, and then apply for that grant to try to get funding to get that done. That's one of the last things that have to be done for that water treatment plant, long-term operation for the acid mine drainage for that treatment system up there. It'll get presented to the Board of County Commissioners for their review, both the MOA and the RDG grant on May 14th for your guys' approval of that partnership and that potential grant opportunity.
RDG.
Resource Development Grant.
Thank you.
Yep, RDG, Resource Development Grant. So that's moving forward, and that's the updates I have for you for Public Works. I want to see if there's any just general questions for Public Works before I turn over to my guests.
Of course, I have a question. Jenny, last week I had a call. I believe this was a call from Joyce Murphy about the condition of the Dalton Road. And I know that you got right on it and got somebody looking at it now. And you just told us that they finished the grading on that now?
Correct,
Okay, so I had hoped she would be here, but she's not. So,
And that
is
could
she
be,
happy?
Chairman, Commissioner, I haven't heard from her. You gave her my number to contact. It was probably maybe 4 or 5 days from the time that she contacted you that we were scheduled to do that road anyway for grading. So maybe she saw that they were out there doing the grading and her issue was then resolved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner, one other thing to note on that, I mean, we're gonna get those calls periodically, the conditions that they think the road is compared to conditions of other roads in the county, might not be as bad as maybe other roads. So, definition of a pothole here, when there's another road that has 40 potholes, we're gonna maybe prioritize our efforts. So her level of maintenance might be different than what she's experienced in the past, and definitely since we have no district equipment operator for at this time. So hopefully she's happy for now, but depends on the weather, it might change in the future. Yep.
Looks really good on the south side of the bridge. They didn't do anything on the north side of the bridge for Dalton Mountain Road?
Commissioners, Pat, I'm not sure exactly what part of Dalton Mountain Road they exactly did. We probably focused on the lower half and then maybe coming back to Dorothy and the other side of Dalton Lake.
Yeah, it's great on the other side.
Okay.
So very happy with it.
Okay, good.
Zach?
Zach Hughes. Folks moving in here have to understand that how things are here. We live up in the mountains, and in a winter like we had this year, not a lot of snow, is really, really hard on those roads when it's thaw, freeze, thaw, freeze, thaw, freeze, thaw, freeze. And, I mean, you can look at the paved portions of town, and this winter took a beating. They're all alligatored out and potholes. I mean, we just got it all redone, but it's hard when you don't have a true paved road. Highway's fine, but when all we really have is a chip seal on dirt. So folks gotta understand that we live in the mountains and it's gonna be bad. If there's a crater, obviously, that's like the one at the end of 6 by the gas station.
Oh, yeah, it's a big.
That's different, but it takes time, and then now it's rain, snow, freeze, cold, warm, so it's gonna be endless, especially with all the new folks moving in from out of state and the cities.
Yeah, they can't understand.
Rick, what about the bridge update on Dalton Mountain Bridge?
Rick, yeah, I don't know if you were here last month, but Montana Department of Transportation came up last month and gave quite a bit of updates on projects in your guys' area. Yeah, that's fine. One of them was the Dalton Mountain Bridge replacement. They were doing some tree removal a couple weeks ago in preparation of the staging of that project. They were successful with their bid. They have a contractor in place. The notice to proceed is going to be the first part of July. I think they said July 8th. Time frame for that to begin. And then it's going to be permanently closed for about 160 days, 130 to 160 days. The detour will be their responsibility to maintain and traffic control from that end, but the project will be underway this summer. The other couple MDT projects are the one that was mentioned earlier up on Fletcher Pass. They're going to be doing surface preservations and and tearing up the millings on that road. The county's actually got an agreement with them to get those millings. They're gonna be stockpiled at our Lincoln shop. So we're getting some product at the county from that project. And then there's some work going on the lines on the highway. The chip seal of the road, and then painting will be done on the highway. So there's gonna be a lot of MDT activities and work going on up here this summer.
Jenny, I've got copies of that handout from last week,
Oh,
if anybody wants them.
It's on the bulletin board at the post office as well. So there's a poster there with all the information, and you can go on there, you can text the phone number, and then you'll get updates automatically, and or email, or however you want to do it. But
Are they gonna mag all the way around Karen Lakes?
you know, Chairman Pat, we had hoped that their traffic control plan is gonna have MAG responsibilities for the thing. We haven't yet seen it. That's one thing I've been working with them on, to try to actually get that contract language in the plan so we know for the public what they're obligated to do. That was what we talked about early on with them, is to make sure that was part of that contractor's responsibility. It is not gonna be done at the county next year, so MDT is gonna be the one that ensures that contractor gets it done moving forward. At least during the detour time.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to turn it over to Christian Leonard, my weed, not just weed coordinator, to just give you a little bit of updates about some of the weed activities.
Again, Mr. Chair, Christian Leonard, Lewis and Clark County Noxious Weed Coordinator. Just here again, as I know it's not quite has been springtime yet up in this country, but it is around the corner. June is pretty busy. But just some of the updates that we have going on, we were able to get all of our seasonal hires filled, which is the struggle sometimes, as you've heard everybody here talking about trying to get employees and take care of stuff. So we were able to get a full staff of seasonal employees. All of our rental equipment will be up here, are ready. Renee Campbell, I'll be reaching out to Renee Campbell again to see if she would like to house the community sprayer for Lincoln. She's done it for the past 5 or 6 years. And she always seems to be interested in holding that, so we'll make sure to be bringing that up when it's not freezing. So, I already had to fix a couple of sprayers this year that got damaged from it getting a little bit cold. But just some of the other things we got going on. A gentleman, Ed Callahan of Landers Fork, was able to put together a Noxious Weed Trust Fund grant. We did the presentations with the Department of Ag Trust Fund hearing, and he was able to get some funding for that. It was a little over $17,000 for up in that country with all the landowners that they have up there. And with that, once we get all that information and contract from the Department of Ag, that will also be presented in front of the commission. That has not been presented yet. We still got to wait for that information from Department of Ag. Also, with that, I've been really trying to work the last few years. We do have a county cost share program. The only stipulation with that is to have a weed management in place, and will help cover the cost of your herbicides. If you own under 24 acres, $250. If it's over 25 acres, we'll match up to $500. So, yeah. This area is a little bit later than everywhere else, so you'll probably start to see a lot of our employees up here during the middle of June. It just seems we're just so much further behind. And then also in August, we'll be up to do the Tansy Ragwort stuff again with the Lincoln County Task Force.
I'm no longer up there though at the
Okay.
ranch.
Okay.
My nephew is.
Okay, sounds good. Trying to think of what else. I think that's about it, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Questions? Thank you very much. So glad you're here.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming.
So one thing to note that Christian didn't really highlight too much, but he's been really aggressive with trying to get partnerships with some of the different federal agencies, Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, also our state agencies, Montana Department of Transportation. They just granted him another $3,000 additional last year's $3,000 to help them with some more of their right-of-way spraying in the area. So even on the highway coming in, If you see weed sprayers, it's most likely gonna be Lewis and Clark County, Christian and his staff, and not necessarily MDT. So where we can partnership on that, we try to make sure that they're doing a really good job on the noxious weed. The other thing, this last year, a couple months ago, Christian got Weed Fighter of the Year through the Montana Weed Control Association as an award. And the Noxious Weed District for Lewis and Clark County got recognized as the Weed District of the Year. So not only do we have an employee, we also have a whole weed district. So it was good doing. So, yeah, thanks.
All right, yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I had forgotten, so thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, that's good, thank you.
All right, Christian, thank you.
So now I'm gonna turn it over to Jessica Makis, our Special Districts Coordinator, to talk about the RIDs, Rural Improvement Districts.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jessica Makis, the Special Districts Program Coordinator for Lewis and Clark County. And I oversee the Special Districts Program. Within the program, we have Caleb Marcus, who is our RID, Rural Improvement District Construction Coordinator. We also have Jesse Whitford, who works in a half-time capacity with the special districts and also spends half of his time with the road department. We're all in the Public Works Department under Jenny Chambers. In 2019, my position and Caleb's position were created to help manage the growing number of RIDs that we have in Lewis and Clark County. There are 3 RIDs, the Lincoln, Lambkins, and then the 4x4 RID in the Lincoln area. Right now, throughout Lewis and Clark County, we have about 150 individual rural improvement districts. A lot of those come with new subdivisions, but also we get several requests from citizens in older neighborhoods to establish rural improvement districts as a citizen-initiated effort every year. And those pop up a lot right now during this time of year with spring, as we see that kind of spring breakup with road networks. One of the things Caleb and I do with this program is to review each district's budget on an annual basis. So to look at the annual maintenance that each district needs, but to also kind of project that out into the future and look at some of those lower frequency but higher cost maintenance items. Specifically for Lincoln, that's the hard road surface districts, that's that chip seal cycle. So that happens about every 7 years. And again, only 7 years, but it's the highest cost item that we have. So we want to make sure that we're assessing enough money to cover pothole patching, crack sealing, those annual types of maintenance items, and then also make sure that we're looking ahead to that chip seal cycle. As far as these RIDs in general, I do just want to talk, just as a refresher in how these are administered. Each rural improvement district is administered separately. So as those funds are assessed on tax bills, those go into a fund for that individual RID. Those funds can only be used for items that were set forth in the resolution that was for when the district was created. In Lincoln, for the Lincoln RID specifically, those funds can be used on pothole patching, on crack sealing, on that chip seal cycle that I talked about, for snow plowing and grading. However, the county provides those services now. And that's it. Those funds roll over from year to year. They gain interest. There is a 5% administrative charge attached to those, and that helps fund a little bit of the positions that help provide the program. However, that 5% admin is capped at $500. So, anything over an annual assessment of $10,000 is capped out at that $500, and it can't go beyond that. And that's a state law for this program. So I will just talk about Lincoln first, and then I'll go into Lambkins and just give you an update here. As you'll recall, probably last year when I was up here, we talked about a phased approach in increasing the maintenance assessment for these RIDs. And the reason for that is that both of these districts have been operating in a loan cycle. So every time that chip seal cycle comes up, every 7 years, the district does not have enough money to fund the whole chip seal cycle. And each time since those districts were created, we've had to take out a loan, pay interest on that loan, and then also anytime we take a loan with these districts, we also have to pay 5% of the total construction cost into the RID revolving fund. And that's a state law as well. Counties can charge up to 10%, but 5% is the minimum. And Lewis and Clark County does charge that minimum amount. But again, that's money that does not go into the district or onto the ground. So what we're hoping to do is to get out of that loan cycle, to start accruing a little bit of interest instead of paying interest out. And so with the Lincoln RID, this RID covers most of Lincoln. There are 337 total benefiting properties in this district. It was created in 2004. There was an initial 10-year loan for the initial chip seal that went into the district. That incurred a $152 assessment to pay back that loan, $152 per year, and then also a $15 per year maintenance assessment. And that's that maintenance fund that accrues over time. Again, I talked about this, I think, just a moment ago, but the maintenance includes the crack sealing, pothole patching. It includes magnesium chloride on the gravel roads that are included in the Lincoln district. And it also includes that chip seal cycle. The county road department provides all of the plowing and sanding, and then also does the sweeping. In the Lincoln district, the county road department also provides all of the grading, and that money does not get assessed to the RID. Caleb Marcus, our RID construction coordinator, was just out last week and did a drive-through to look at the situation with potholes on the hard surface roads throughout Lincoln. There's a list that's been provided to the road department, and as time allows, we'll be working on those potholes soon. The hot asphalt just became available about 2 weeks ago, so that's coming. In 2014, that was when that next chip seal cycle was due. The district had to take another loan for that chip seal cycle. This was a 7-year loan, and that required a $45 per property per year payment to pay back that loan. At that time, the maintenance assessment was increased from $15 per property per year up to $59.45 per property per year. And it stayed there until last year. In 2022, looking at that next chip seal cycle, again, the district was short. This was a difficult time though, as this is when we started seeing all of the COVID-related inflation hitting. So in 2021, our cost for chip sealing was about $1.70 per square yard. The 2022 bid that came in to chip seal Lincoln, Lambkins, and also the Augusta community came in at $4.40 per square yard. So it was a massive, massive increase. So we had circulated a petition. Zach was very instrumental in helping us with that effort to get the loan for the work. But even with that loan, we were still short. We did not anticipate that huge level of inflation. And so the commission was able to use some discretionary funds to help us meet the difference with both districts. That was critical. As we look to 2029, again, we are projecting another shortfall for the chip seal cycle. So what's happening is the cost for this work is going up. And if we don't keep that assessment going up, we won't be able to cover that work when it comes. So I was here last year with a proposed increase. At that time, we were projecting about $157,000 shortfall if we stayed with the $59.45 assessment per property. Last year, we raised that assessment to $90 per property per year, which has helped substantially with 337 total properties, that brings in an annual assessment of $30,330. So we've been able to, with that increase in assessment, with kind of trying to be a little tighter on some of our management of the maintenance fund, we've lowered that shortfall to about $100,000. Still projecting that shortfall. Our intent with this is to phase this increase while we continue to watch what that chip seal price does. Right now, that chip seal price is a little under $3 per square yard. So we saw it go way up in 2022, and we've seen it come down a little bit. Certainly not down to where we saw in 21. I don't think we'll ever see that price in the near future. But we're going to continue to monitor that price and increase this assessment as needed as we approach that 29 cycle, with the intent to save the money and interest and the percentage that has to go to the RID revolving fund. This year, my recommendation for an increase would be to increase from $90 per property per year to $120 per property per year. So a $30 increase per year for each property. We'll continue to watch that budget. We'll continue to watch our expenditure and balance that out with the intent to save the money. Even with a $100,000 shortfall in 2029, with the loan that would be necessary to cover that shortfall, the district would pay over $6,000 to the RID revolving fund, and the district would pay approximately $31,000 just in interest over a 7-year term. So that's what we're trying to avoid, and that's what we're trying to save here. I did bring a few handouts, just giving kind of a summary of this, of what I just talked about, but also a second handout showing a cash flow for the district, just so that you all can see the revenue and expenditure over time. It's available going back to the creation of the district in 2004, but it doesn't print super well. Pretty much need a magnifying glass. So I just printed a snapshot going back to 2017. But if any of you at any point would like some of that information, let me know, and I'll have that handout available after I'm done here. Moving on to are there, I guess, any questions about Lincoln before I move on to Lambkins? Okay, so moving on to Lambkins. This district is a little bit different. This district, if you'll recall, is assessed by square foot. So it's a kind of a variable assessment rate based on the square footage of property abutting the road network in Lambkins. Lambkins just covers kind of that northeast corner of the Lincoln community. This RID was created in 1989. There are 83 benefiting properties. This RID also started with an initial 10-year loan for that initial chip seal cycle. That came with, it was an average, I talk about this one in averages since it's assessed by square foot, but it was an average of $156 per property per year at that time to pay down that debt. And then it came with $57, an average of $57 per property per year for maintenance. In 2014, that RID also had to obtain a loan for the chip seal cycle, a 7-year loan, and that came with a $69 per property per year payment to repay that loan. The maintenance at that point was set at about an average of $32 per property per year. In 2022, our last chip seal cycle, again, a 7-year loan was required. That loan amount was for about $40,000 to cover that chip seal shortfall, and that came to about $83 per property per year. I don't believe I mentioned that for Lincoln. Lincoln also had to obtain a loan that was about $75,000, $37.75 for Lincoln RID properties to pay back that 7-year loan. For Lambkins, we continued with the same maintenance assessment in '22, an average of $32. However, when we look at our mill levy sheet with Lambkins, the assessment is actually $0.001972 per property, per yard, per square foot, since it's that square footage. When the tax department was putting this into their system, for whatever reason, it cut it off at 0.00, and no money was assessed for the Lambkins maintenance RID in 2022. So it was unfortunate. We looked into statutory process to potentially remediate that, to collect that after the fact. There is no process for correction when the mistake is there. What that means, though, is that we have to increase that Lambkins assessment, right, to get to that 2029 chip seal cycle. So nobody in Lambkins paid anything for the maintenance assessment in 2022. The downside of that is, the increase just has to be more. Last year, we did increase that assessment to an average of $80 per property per year to start saving for that chip seal in 29. Let's see. We still do have a projected shortfall of about $49,500 in Lambkins. Again, that would result in almost $3,000 going to the RID revolving fund if we had to take that loan, and then about $15,000 in interest. So again, I'd like to continue with that phased increase to try to keep us on track and save that interest in RID revolving fund. My recommendation for Lambkins is to increase that assessment to an average of $115 per property per year. So about a $35 increase on average for that district. Again, with both of these districts, we will continue to look at what's coming in, what we're spending, and update that information every year. Look at what the current cost of chip seal is to see what we need to increase each year until we get to that 2029 cycle. So it's likely I will be back next year with the same proposal, and we'll gauge that increase at that time. The next steps for both of these districts would be to send legal notice out to every benefiting property for each district, and then during the August government days, hold public hearing again here to pass a resolution to levy and assess those districts at that increased rate. Any questions about Lambkins or the process?
Zach Muse.
Zach.
We've talked about it many times about switching Lambkins to per property. It doesn't matter if you're a square foot or a mile, you're using the road the same amount. And as far as the computation of it all, I think it would be easier for people to understand, and it would be easier for you guys if we did it all the same. So maybe now would be a good time, if you're gonna send the letters out anyways, hit them up with, do we wanna do this, and just get people informed about it, so that if we do have to do a petition again, which we would, then we can do that and have, be ahead of the game. Just a thought. We've talked about it for many years.
Sure. Mr. Chair, Zach, to that question, what we would have to do to change the assessment method, right now that assessment method, there's different assessment methods provided by statute for how we can assess an RID. By square footage is one, an equal assessment is another. To change the assessment method for a rural improvement district, we would have to create that district from scratch. So right now, to increase the maintenance assessment, we do not have to circulate a petition to do that. By statute, we can assess each district what it costs to maintain that district each year, just prior to the first Monday in September. To change the assessment method, though, we would have to recreate the RID, and that would require a petition with at least 20% support, be circulated throughout the Lincoln RID. Once it got to that 20% support, we have to take it through a series of 3 public hearings, much like we did for the process to secure the loans for these districts. We have a resolution of intention to create that district. Then it would open a comment and protest period of at least 30 days. And then we would schedule another public hearing to hear that comment and protest, and the commission would consider creation of that district at that time. If greater than 50% of the residents protested the creation of that district, we would not be able to move forward. If less than 50% protest, it's up to the commission to move forward with the creation. And then it would follow with that 3rd public hearing to levy and assess the district. So absolutely, we can run the numbers, and I'd be happy to help facilitate recreating that district to that effect. It would not, have any bearing on the cost or anything like that. It would change per property. It would not change the total amount assessed to the district. But obviously, there's a range assessed in Lambkins, and I think, with this proposed increase at $115, I think that ranges from about $70 for, up to about $287, just depending how large those properties are. So, we would come back down to that average amount, but obviously some would pay less, some would pay more. But again, it's something I'd be happy to help with.
Yeah, if we can get, at least get the conversation started, and if, obviously the folks that are paying less are gonna be the ones that are gonna protest it, the ones that are paying more are gonna be all in favor, but at least that would give them an opportunity to comment, whether it be here or community council, and then we get a feel for it. It's not gonna work, or it's gonna work, or, whatever, but if you're sending the letters out anyways, it might not, just a thought.
Sure, thank you.
Kevin Grant here. I think also part of that is, I have friends that live over on that side, and they hear, well, you're getting based on one property, I'm getting based on square footage. They feel it's not fair. The other thing is, and this is just a question, I may have gotten some wrong information. I live on this side over on Pine Street, and I was told that if your property has to bump up against one of the roads, right, in the subdivision for it to count. And mine does on the front side, on Pine Street, but my property, my second lot, is strictly south, which goes to Meadow Street, and that's not in the division. But yet I have to pay twice. And I didn't understand that.
Mr. Chair, Kevin, so just to make sure I understand the question, so you're being assessed twice, but there's not maintenance on Meadow Street?
Meadow Street is, from what I've been told, Meadow Street is not in the subdivision. It's not paved, it's not chip sealed, it's not, the county, bless their heart, does plow it, just out of the goodness of their heart. They're not responsible to plow it, but they do it. But my land is directly square north and south, so the north part of my property does touch Pine Street, which is in the subdivision. My second lot, directly behind me, bumps up against Meadow Street, and that's not in the subdivision, but they're saying I'm getting billed for 2 properties in the subdivision.
So that western part of Meadow is not included for maintenance as part of this initial district when it was created in 2004. I'm not sure why that happened when it was created at that time. We've talked to another resident on Meadow about potentially setting up an RID after the fact just for Meadow Street. We ran the numbers, and he felt like it probably wouldn't go anywhere. The reason both properties are assessed for Lincoln is because as you come off of Meadow Street, you do travel on the roads that are maintained through the Lincoln RID. And so that's the reason that those properties are still both included in the district as a whole.
If you benefit from the roads that are within the RID to access your property, then you get assessed because of the maintenance on those roads. not necessarily because your road is,
Okay.
is.
So it was bad information. Because I was told that your property had to touch a paved subdivision road. And I said, well, my one does,
Yeah,
but the back one doesn't.
right.
And that's
But the
what-
reason it's included, right, is because you do still travel on roads that are maintained through that district. Therefore, the property is still a benefiting property of the district.
And Jessica, Lambkins would be different.
The way Lambkins is assessed is a little bit different. Just, in 1989, when that was set up, for whatever reason, the assessment method selected was by square footage of property actually abutting the improvement. So that one is assessed differently.
That's a great question though, because it comes up often, and you know, the difference between someone who is on a road that's in an RID versus someone who benefits from the roads. So if I live outside the RID, but I can't get anywhere without going through that RID, I'm benefiting from that, the improvements on those roads, so I need to pay in as well. So that's kind of, yeah, but it's a great question, because it comes up quite a bit. Thank you for that.
So, Mr. Chair, again, we do have some handouts. There's one for Lambkins, just kind of detailing some of the history and the proposed increase. And then two, there is just, like I mentioned, this cash flow statement. And so I have those for each of the RIDs if anybody's interested in some of that information.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions for anyone? Okay, thank you very much. Jenny, anything else you'd like to share? Any updates of any kind?
No, Chairman, I'm too good, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, we will turn to Mr. Plant. Jay, welcome. Glad you're here. We've added the Public Health Department, different divisions of the Public Health Department as a monthly update as well. So they've had different divisions come up and.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you for having us. As Commissioner Helvin likes to call, I'm Jay Plant, sanitarian. I'm one of the poop police in the county. So, yeah.
Yeah, poop people.
Yeah, poop people, yeah.
I thought you were the junk car guy.
That too. He refers to other things. But yes, I'm one of two. We are down a sanitarian, myself and Beth Norberg. So we are in the process of trying to hire a new sanitarian. So if anybody knows of anybody that would be interested, or looking. But currently up in the Lincoln area, we have started our groundwater monitoring season. So we will be up in the area once a week, typically Wednesday or Thursday. We have a couple homes that are, a couple lots that we're monitoring the groundwater levels. After that, when we see a peak, which will probably be, the end of the month, early June, our goal is to continue to be up here at least once a week, maybe more if needed. So people who need to do site evaluations, septic inspections, septic tank, septic drain field inspections, we'll be doing those as needed. It is our busy season for that, so as the building season picks up, we'll be up here more often. But we do recommend for people who are outside the sewer district here, it's spring, go out and check your system. It's the winter, did you have freeze up with your drain field? Walk around and take a look. If you guys are on that, look for surfacing sewage. And it's also a good time to have your tank pumped. So, if you haven't done that for a while, it is important. A lot of people, it's underground, I can't see it, they like to forget about it. But it is an important part of prolonging the life of your drain field and protecting your groundwater and your well water. So, aside from that, we also, complaints as far as community decay, junk vehicle, putrescible waste, things like that. We'll be up here with those. So, but I was going to ask Zach, do you know whatever happened with the trailers out on the
Status quo. Oh, you're talking about this one back here.
Yeah.
No, the one ended up finally getting hauled to Wolf Creek,
Okay.
and the other one, The DNRC actually
Yeah.
hauled it to the dump.
Okay, I just didn't know where they took them, so
Yeah.
they never got back to us. So,
I thought you were talking about our normal
yeah.
person back behind the school.
Yeah, constant fight with that one. So yeah, anything like the junk vehicles complaints, we will take a look at them. We do beg people, be patient with us, because it is a drawn out process, you know. If they don't pick up their certified letter, their notice of violation, it delays everything until we eventually have to have them served. So, once that's done, we go through that process, you know, most of them will end up at court at some point, but, some cases, you know, just getting to see it, you know, help getting the sheriff department in with us to, and escort us in to see it is another step. A lot of times up here we have to go through, so, but, yeah, it's about,
Sorry, I'm just gonna say a little bit more on that, just because we're really bound by state law for the most part. And so when somebody sees community decay and reports it, it is quite a process. People get like 9 gazillion chances to do something, and then if they do a little bit, that counts, and it kind of starts over again, and, you know, new. So it takes a very long time to get through a process where someone would actually end up, you know, in court, or the county attorney takes action on community decay or a junk vehicle. It takes a long time, and
yeah, Mr. Chair,
we get as frustrated as anybody, I think, our sanitarians as well, because they get their hands tied by what's in statute right now.
Yeah, sure, thank you for that. And we'll investigate that case once we see it, determine if it is a valid case. If we determine it is valid, we will send out a notice of violation. In some cases, we do send out, if we're not sure what we're looking at, we'll send out a warning letter and request more information. So, but for example, if it does go to the say a 30-day notice of violation, and they respond to us within 30 days, they can submit an abatement plan, which by law or by state rules, I guess, we are required to work with them to some point or to some degree on that abatement. So if they do not, and at the end of 30 days they've not abated, we will go to a 10-day notice of violation, and at that point, if nothing's happened, it's turned over to the county attorney. So, and that's where it, you know, goes through that whole process. So, in some cases we get immediate abatement plans or, you know, compliance. So, in some cases we don't. But any questions, Mr. Chair? Anybody questions on any of that stuff?
Right at the beginning, you talked about well monitoring, and why do we do that? What's the purpose of well monitoring?
Mr. Chair, the purpose of groundwater monitoring, in Montana, Montana code requires that you have 4 feet of natural soil below the bottom of your drain field, your septic drain field, which, when I say natural, you know, your drain field is going to sit typically between 24 and 36 inches deep, each individual trench. So below that, you need 4 feet before you hit groundwater or bedrock. So typically when we do a site evaluation, which I was doing this morning up Hogan Creek area, we'll have people dig an 8-foot deep hole. You know, the reason for that is to make sure that if there's groundwater, we see how high it's going to get. If we do see signs of groundwater in that hole, typically they'll put in a vertical monitoring pipe, perforated pipe, 4-inch PVC, and then we will come out once we monitor that with steel tape, check how high it gets. If it peaks within that above that 4-foot level, the system fails. We can't really do anything with that. But if say if it only comes to 5 feet, we can do a shallow system or something. So again, part of what's called the Clean Water Act, which requires that we, you know, can't degrade state groundwater and state surface water past a certain point. So we just make sure we're not putting nitrates, phosphorus, all that into it.
Jim Yarbrough, Mr. Chair. Is that true? Is that 4-foot elevation true for the septic tank as well, or just the leach field?
Just the leach field. Okay. Now, if you have a tank, which we do see a lot up in here along the Blackfoot, Alice Creek and such, that those tanks are going in shallow groundwater. If that's the case, we do require that the tank be, coated so it doesn't leak, or we'll check it for leakage. They have to be equipped with anti-flotation device, which pretty simple. Most people will put a steel cable with concrete curving or something over it, depending on how big that tank is. So, but we will require calculations on that, so they don't bob up out of the ground.
Float down to Blackfoot.
And people are surprised at how often that does happen.
That's a fun looking.
Especially when you have your tank pumped. Next thing you know, it's
Yeah.
popping.
And people get frustrated sometimes about all these rules, but as soon as somebody finds very icky stuff in there coming out of their faucet, they're going, why don't people have rules about it? So it's to protect everyone's drinking water, all of our wells, and also the rivers and streams, of course.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Where you have, here in the valley, a lot of alluvial, your sand and gravels, you don't have a lot of soil for treatment. And one thing we have to look at is, yes, you're getting rid of that wastewater, but are you treating it? And are you treating it before it hits that groundwater that you're sucking into your well? So the soil will do a good job of treating, but we want to make sure there's something there before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's something that people maybe don't realize, but they actually do a really good job of treating if they're built right and they have enough soil. Then that water going back into the groundwater is
Correct.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Just to add on to some of the stuff that I guess going back to some of the weed stuff, I have the same legal process when we're doing non-compliance with noxious weeds as well. So that is a strenuous process, and like you said, if someone does a little bit, it prolongs the process. So we have a similar non-compliance process that we're held to by statute as well. So a little bit different. It does go to the weed board first before it goes to the county attorney's office if it ever gets that far. But usually when we get an abatement and start the letter process, we get really good compliance, 98+%. So it ends up working pretty good. But I know we do get quite a few non-compliance up in this area, so I just thought that was good to touch on too as well. So I'm the person to call as well if they're having a weed problem, and we're here to assist with that as well. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions for Jay? Or did you have more, Jay? Sorry.
Nope. Any questions?
Oh, I guess I had one comment.
Yes.
It looks a lot better to the county attorney if the complaints come from people that live by them versus all those people coming to me and I have to email Jay and say, hey Jay, we got a problem over here. I mean, I would say probably all the complaints come from the people, but the only name on all of them is me. And so if somebody has a complaint, they need to address it themselves as well.
And send it direct to the county attorney's office?
No, but
Send it
if
to Jay.
he gets one email from me saying there's 10 people doing this, or saying this,
Yeah.
it doesn't look as good as 10 people emailing Jay or calling Jay saying we have a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Zach. And one thing I will say is, and you're pretty familiar with all this. And, we've worked together a lot in the last 16 years. But, a lot of people that look at, okay, I don't like that car in my neighbor's yard. Cars, yeah. And just because they have a lot of cars doesn't mean we necessarily can enforce it. State law says a junk vehicle has to be basically all of 4 things, which A, it has to be unlicensed, B, it has to be wrecked or dismantled, missing parts like hood, engine. It has to be incapable of being driven on a public roadway, and it has to be visible from the center line of a public roadway. So it could be a car chassis sitting in somebody's yard. If it's licensed, we can't touch it. And we get that a lot, where, you go through the steps and the guy says, well, guess what? I license. And you can't touch it. So, and there's a lot of loopholes in the law, and there's a lot that was designed to help the guy who is your car collector that, you know, hey, I want to keep these cars. And, you know, that's a good thing to have, but it makes it kind of confusing to a lot of people. So, and if you can't see them, we can't, you know, the judge will throw them out. So, other than that,
What about, agricultural machinery? I've got a brother that has got you know, a dead animal plot for
Yeah.
combines from the last 50 years.
yeah.
Well, they're not, so are those, do they fit with?
Well, we do have some ag exemptions in our ordinances. Yeah, if it's machinery that's old, dilapidated, broke down, that no longer has a use, technically it's community decay. It could be, if it fits the junk vehicle law. See, our junk vehicle law, we have junk vehicles put into our community decay ordinance, so it's a little easier to enforce than a lot of counties have, the way it's been written. But yes, it depends on the equipment. If it has a use, then probably we can touch it. Same with, you know, like when you look at community decay, you get into firewood, things that, you know, people just throw huge stacks of firewood in their yard. It does have a purpose. We've had some luck that if it's not organized and stacked, that we might be able to get something done with those. So, with all the beetle kill over the last few years, it's been, hey, I'll just throw this wood in my yard.
So he's not just a poop person, he does a lot of other things too. Jay, thank you for being here. Any other questions for Jay? Appreciate it very much. And thanks for working so closely, Zach, the town planner, that sounds like, huh? You get to be? Just kidding. All right. Let's see, where are we? We are, next meeting will be June 7th, right? And we have any other business that anybody wants to bring up? Mr. Baltz, anything you want to add to the discussion?
Sure.
Always have a few items of wisdom for us here.
Sure. So Roger Baltz, Administrative Officer for the county. So May is a very busy time in county government for budget. The county commissioners have budget meetings that will be occurring on May the 14th, the 28th, and the 30th. So this is when presentations will be coming forward from the Sheriff's Office, from Public Works, from the Health Department, as they prepare their budgets. So for a couple of budget things that are specific to Lincoln, which I think many of you already know about, but the county has just obtained an $11,000 grant for landscape planning for Hooper Park. And so that work will be occurring in the next few weeks, and it's for planning. Also, there's been 4 total ARPA projects that have been approved for different projects here in Lincoln. And just as a reminder, everyone, let's see, they were the water fill station, a little over $67,000. The latrine, the concrete latrine for Hooper Park, that was $18,000. Workforce housing, a little over $199,000. And electrical upgrades at Hooper Park, $10,000. So specific to Lincoln, there's some budget things that have been built in for this fiscal year, and those projects are underway right now too. There's a couple of other things going on in the county. I saw Amy Reeves this morning, our treasurer, clerk, and recorder, and she asked me to remind everyone that the supplemental tax bills have gone out, commissioners, and everyone. So those are arriving in the mail to people right now. So if you see that come through and you have questions, there's information on the county website about that, or you can also call Amy Reeves. And then the other thing that's going on in the county right now that's very busy is elections-related activity. So the commissioners just got an update about elections activity just last week. And if you have any questions about the different elections that are going on, in particular school elections coming up next Tuesday, Amy Reeves asked me to mention that as well today too. So, very busy, a lot going on with budgets, everyone. I think that's probably the primary message for the month of May. Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you
Any
bet.
questions for Mr. Boltz? Anyone?
All right, thanks.
And trust me, those bills came through already.
Yeah.
They're out. Taking a beating, even though I have nothing to do with it.
No, please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
I've been on the commission, I'm in my fourth year. And for 2 years before I was on the commission, I attended the budget meetings. And so now, having gone through 5 years with the budget meetings, I can count on one hand the number of people from the public who have ever attended a budget meeting. All that money we're spending about over $100 million a year. And if you want to have some input on it, you know, that people ought to come to the budget meetings and see how it's being done.
Tom, aren't all those televised now?
It will be.
They will be now. yeah.
Should be.
They don't need to actually drive all the way to Helena, they can
Good
get
idea.
in their TV and then if you wanna sit in your bathrobe and throw rocks at us, go for
It's
it.
your own TV.
That's right, your own TV.
Shoot the TV.
Best reality on TV on. Zach?
So, the Parker Medical, the hospital district will be paid off this year, I believe, isn't it, Miles? September. So, that's a pretty nice chunk of change that folks will get back.
Yeah.
But, the maintenance and upkeep of those buildings, that part of it does not end, but it doesn't even come close to the maintenance and upkeep of those buildings. So we have talked, a few of us have talked about possibly doing another levy. So, and I don't know what the hospital district levy costs each individual taxpayers, but let's say it costs $100 a year, just to simplify it. We may propose doing like, hey, you're getting that $100 back, can we have $10 more of it a year, or $20 or something, to try and preserve what we have out there, because that covers the ambulance building and the Parker Medical. So that we may be working on as well. So.
Good, thank you for that update. It's exciting, it's gonna be paid off. But, yeah, you do have to maintain those buildings. I mean, it's just shooting yourself in the foot if you buy it and then don't take care of it, right? Yeah, so hopefully that will happen. But if you need help on how that process works or what you need to do, steps in running a new levy for that elections will help you. If you need help, I'm happy to, pull some levers to get folks to help you understand how that works and what we need to do. Yes, sir.
I think, what I understand, it's a flat fee for the maintenance.
Yeah.
It needs to go up a little bit.
Right, that's what he's
That's
talking about.
why-
Increasing the maintenance fee.
Yeah, we're not gonna, it's gonna be, I think it would be better to do it as on levies, or on mills, because mills change according to the use, or the population. So it might be a little easier, then you don't have to go after it again constantly, but we can look into that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the law says either, but yeah, essentially that's what Zach's saying, is that maintenance fee has to go up in order to make sure you have enough to take care of the buildings here. But
I think the way I understand it, never did go up.
from the beginning,
First,
yeah, it's been, right. So we can learn about that process and make sure we help you guys understand how that works. And if the community wanted to propose that I'm sure there's a step-by-step process that's all laid out in law that we have to follow.
Okay. I didn't know. Sorry, it scares me. Pat says, she just took the AED, and I said, she just maintenance.
Good luck, big check. Anything else for anyone? Any other public comment? Anything else from our fancy people up here at the front table, even the booth people. All right, gotta give them a hard time. All right, thank you all very much. We'll see you next month, and we will stand adjourned.